You know, there are American heroes who don't like this idea. Neil Armstrong, Gene Cernan have both testified against commercial spaceflight and the way that you're developing it, and I wonder what you think of that.
I was very sad to see that, because those guys are, yeah. You know, those guys are heroes of mine, so it's really tough. You know, I wish they would come and visit and see the hardware that we're doing here. And I think that would change their mind.
They inspired you to do this, didn't they?
Yes.
And to see them casting stones in your direction.
It's difficult.
Did you expect them to cheer you on?
Certainly hoping they would.
What are you trying to prove to them?
What I'm trying to do is to make a significant difference in spaceflight and
Can you imagine being a CEO and a founder of 8 different companies? You know, that is a lot. How can a normal human being like us have the ability to handle more than one big company? But he can. He is handling 8 of them every single day. It was totally insane. You know who it is? He is the one and only Elon Musk, CEO of Tesla, SpaceX, SolarCity, Boring Company, and also PayPal, the one that we are taking it for granted these days.
Once after PayPal, I decided I wanted to get back into electric vehicles and make something happen in that arena, particularly since GM had come out with the EV1, and I thought, okay, well, there's not really a need for a startup company to develop electric cars because obviously GM is going to create the EV2 and the EV3, that's logical sequence, and we're getting increasingly get better and better with each iteration, and so not really need for a new company in that arena. But actually what happened was that after California changed the regulations to no longer require electric cars, GM recalled all the EV1s, and then just to make sure that nobody could get them back, they crushed them in a lot somewhere. They wanted to just sort of erase all that, and so I thought, okay, well, we've got to try to create an electric car company. But it wasn't as though in creating these companies that we thought that we would be successful. I thought that the most likely outcome was failure.
Yup, it seems like there's nothing in this whole gigantic world that he cannot do. He can do all the things that were hanging around in his mind. He also produces companies that people think it is impossible to sustain. Plus, he once said that he will not be happy and satisfied until he finds the meaning of life.
If you look at the progress in space, in 1969 we were able to send somebody to the moon. 1969. Then we had the space shuttle. The space shuttle could only take people to low Earth orbit. Then the space shuttle retired, and the United States could take no one to orbit. So that's the trend. The trend is like down to nothing. This is not. People are mistaken when they think that technology just automatically improves. It does not automatically improve. It only improves if a lot of people work very hard to make it better. And actually, it will, I think, by itself degrade, actually. You look at great civilizations like ancient Egypt, and they were able to make the pyramids, and they forgot how to do that. And the Romans, they built these incredible aqueducts. They forgot how to do it.
Why, Elon? Because why do we need to build a city on Mars with 1 million people on it in your lifetime, which I think is kind of what you've said you'd love to do?
Yeah, I think it's important to have a future that is inspiring and appealing. I mean, I just think that there have to be reasons that you get up in the morning and you want to live. Like, why do you want to live? What's the point? What inspires you? What do you love about the future? And if we're not out there, if the future does not include being out there among the stars and being a multi-planet species, I find that it's incredibly depressing if that's not the future that we're going to have. But I want to be clear. I'm not trying to be anyone's savior. That is not the. I'm just trying to think about the future and not be sad.
Elon was born on June 28, 1971 in Pretoria, South Africa. He was the eldest among his siblings. He has a younger brother named Kimball and a younger sister named Tosca. After his parents divorced in 1979, 9-year-old Muse and his younger brother Kimball decided to live with their parents. Elon Musk is so obsessed with video games and space. Therefore, in 1983, Elon, only at the age of 12, has taught himself computer programming and created his first ever video game called Blaster. He sold them to a computer magazine to gain some pocket money. Then, he decided to go to the US at the young age of 17 alone, although it was against his father's wishes, because he once says that, "I remember thinking and seeing that America is where the great things are possible, more than any other country in the world." When he arrived there, he managed to get some job across the country before entering to college for his studies. Plus, due to his intelligence, he also got a full scholarship from Stanford. However, after just 2 days of study, he dropped out of college. Well, the catch is, he started his first company right after that.
As mentioned before, Elon's first ever company is called Zip2. As he still have the skills in coding, that is how he managed to create the software. The company was first founded by him and his blood brother Kimball in 1995. It was actually a web software company that provided and licensed online city guide software to newspapers before ended up being purchased by Compaq Computer for $307 million in cash on February 1999.
Writing software during the summer of '95, trying to make useful things happen on the internet. I wrote something that allowed you to get maps and directions on the internet, and then something that allowed you to do online manipulation of content, kind of a really advanced blogging system.
With all the money that he gained from selling Zip2, Elon Musk only took 1 month before starting up a new company named PayPal. This company operates as a worldwide online payment system that supports online money transfers and serves as an electronic alternative instead of using traditional paper methods, for example using checks and notes. Yes, back then, Elon really wanted to improve our daily transaction by making electronic cash transfer possible. And in the end, Elon managed to sell PayPal to eBay for $1.5 billion.
Moving forward, there was this one time that Elon was saying that he wanted to explore the outer space, which is the planet Mars, to be specific. This plan might sound like a fictional story, but the billionaire's vision is making it towards reality now. To make his dream come true, he founded a Space Exploration Technology Corporation, which is called SpaceX. Life has ups and downs, same as the company of Mars, but the thing that keeps them successful is that they have experienced so much failure. Mars has failed to send rockets across the orbit not once, but thrice.
When he had the third failure in a row, did he think about packing in all of his stuffs? No, never. Not even once. Why? Because Elon Musk never gives up in his life. As he said before by himself, he would have been dead or incapacitated So finally, in 2010, after he wins the battle to get a loan contract from NASA, Elon Musk's fourth launch was a success.
Speed 1.2 kilometers per second, average distance. Shortly after the main engine cut off, we're going to separate the stages and begin the second stage of ignition.
At the same time, although he's still fascinated with rockets, spacecraft, and stuff like that, he also wanted to end our world of addiction to fossil fuels. He had an ambitious plan for a sustainable future by helping humanity to get off fossil fuels. Therefore, on April 2004, he launched Tesla Motors by capitalizing with $6.3 million of his own money. Wow, what a risk taker he is!
Quite exciting, isn't it? But wait, hold on a second. Things aren't always going right. The saying is true, when the first test of the Roadsters seemed to fall apart. Elon had to do this do or die decision in order to save his company from running out of money very fast as lightning, as I would say. Elon then took out all of his money and invested them in Tesla.
Crisis after crisis. It was the darkest moment ever in Elon Musk's lifetime career during the Great Depression in 2008. His own designer, took away his idea and built his own automobile company. He got divorced with his wife after 8 years of marriage, got attacked by some of the medias, and even worse, what makes it even worse, all of his 3 big companies, SpaceX, Tesla, and SolarCity, appear to be in fire fall because of the economic tsunami.
No matter how bad things get, something good is always waiting just over the horizon. During the breakdown, Elon Musk met a beautiful woman called Talia Riley, and eventually the two of them got married. And Talia Riley became the motivation of Elon Musk during that breakdown. However, the situation in the company did not change. Elon Musk had to invest every single drop of capital that he had left into Tesla. If not, it would have died.
Every single story that exists in this world should have a happy ending, right? Do you agree with me? If not, you must do, because Elon Musk has finally success in launching the Tesla Model S after getting the loans from the government around $465 million. Oh my god, thank god! With that huge amount of money, he had the chance to do mass production of Model S and purchase an old factory of Toyota in California as a place to build his electric cars.
And now, probably the last company that we would talk about, which is SolarCity. Perhaps it is one of the greatest success by addressing the world's energy need. But how can he come up with this great idea? For Elon, he really wants to change the world so that all of us will have a clean and renewable source of energy feeding all the grid, and all the vehicles will run off that. Okay, so to make you feel that this was a great success and glory for Elon, now SolarCity is currently the largest solar provider in United States. Even big company like eBay also have SolarCity panels on their rooftop. On their roof? Yeah. Amazing, ain't it?
Leaders always take different forms of leadership to ensure that their style fit into the company. Some are very charismatic, meanwhile some are autocratic. So which style does Elon fit the most? Simple. He is a transformational leader. Transformational leadership is an idea that focuses on innovation and creativity for the future and long-term success of a company. How does he realize this idea? Well, first, his ideas are unexplored territory. It's easy to say that because his ideas are innovations. People do not know what is the potential of the ideas that he makes. It is about space, cars, we don't know the limitation to that. Not only that, he brings massive changes to industries. He is the catalyst that moves the industries forward. The rocket industry is focusing on commercial rockets because of him. The car industry is focusing on electricity because of him. And most countries are switching to sustainable energy because of him. It does not end with that. He challenges and assumes risks and assumptions that people have towards him. A lot of people does not agree on his idea to make rockets commercial and to make Tesla public. But to that, he says he does not care. He makes sure that his ideas are realized. He changes the way of thinking so that criticism does not bring him down, it lifts him up.
There's also been a lot of debate regarding what type of leader Elon is. Is he task-oriented leaders or people-oriented leaders? Well, basically, task-oriented leaders are the leaders who heavily emphasize on getting jobs done. They give orders to people and expect his people to finish it in a set period of time. Meanwhile, people-oriented leaders are totally complete opposite with task-oriented leaders. Because of what? They prefer to prioritize on the individuals that are doing their task. They prefer to work with them and decide together on how things should be done. Now, if we really want to understand if Elon is task-oriented type of leaders or people-oriented type of leaders, I would like to reach out Zulhusni Haziq, who is a fanatic fan of Elon Musk. Hello, Zul?
Thank you, Fahmi. Thank you. So, okay, right. So after looking in the comments of former SpaceX and Tesla employees, I believe he is task-oriented. Here's why. Firstly, he likes to make decisions on his own. In 2007, Tesla was having problems in their management. Elon believed that this was due to Martin Eberhard, one of the co-founders that was running Tesla. He thinks that he didn't fit the job when it comes to leading a large company like Tesla. So he decided to have him removed.
So if someone's always on the hot seat and is always the root cause for problems, they will not be part of this organization long term.
It's not okay to be unhappy and part of this company. And so if somebody can't get happy, get divorced.
Right.
Musk and his board replaced Martin Eberhard, one of the co-founders who had been running Tesla.
And I think we kind of really exceeded the level that Eberhard could handle. And that became apparent in 2007.
Yes, he kicked one of the co-founders of Tesla, just like that, all because he deemed him unsuitable for the job and he has outweighed his usefulness. Not only that, just look at what he said when they were lacking experts in SpaceX.
I tried very hard to get the right expertise in for SpaceX. I tried hard to find a great chief engineer for the rocket, but the good chief engineers wouldn't join, and the bad ones, well, there was no point in hiring them. So I ended up being chief engineer of the rocket. So if I could have found somebody better, then we would have maybe had less than 3 failures.
There weren't any good chief engineers for SpaceX that wants to join? Heck, he'll just be one himself. Yes, he faced the problems in his hands and learned aerodynamics all by himself, just because he finds that other people aren't that reliable enough.
To further tell us that Elon is task-oriented, he also applies a reward system. There are interesting stuff for those working under him. He provides them with free dinner, coffee and froyo. This is to ensure that they are highly motivated to work at their best. Besides that, he also has his employees to listen to talks by well-known people like Jeremy Edberg and George Takei. Elon also once had rented out an entire cinema for his employees to watch The Martian. Here's what he said about the movie during Code Conference 2016.
So it was good. I actually enjoyed the movie.
Do you think he could have gotten back like that? Was that plausible?
Well, I thought there was some connection. It was like 80% scientifically correct. They did connect a series of improbable events.
Such as?
Well, I mean, I don't think you can sort of just take off from Mars on an unguided rocket, really, and then prick your finger on the spacesuit and navigate to a spaceship. Right? Yeah.
Last but not least, Elon Musk has always clarified his objectives. Plus, he will also just give a simple and direct instructions for his employees to follow. And other than that, not to forget, Elon Musk always framework his tasks, all of his tasks, precisely, and finally issues straightforward deadlines on his employees' works.
Facing a lot of pressure, the notorious workaholic can still work 80 to 90 hours a week. No 2 days are the same for him. On Mondays and Fridays, he works at SpaceX in Los Angeles. On Tuesdays, Wednesdays and Thursdays, he heads to the Bay Area to work at Tesla. He also usually spends half of his day working at OpenAI. He's also been known to sleep on the floor of his factory so he can work nearly around the clock. He also hates having his time wasted by unnecessary meetings.
And he often asked us to take special forces methods to get our jobs accomplished. And I can imagine.
What did that mean?
Well, it meant basically try is not good enough, you need to do. And basically results matter. And to not let things get in the way that most people would be stumbled by or snagged by. So we broke through any red tape with a machete, and we had a great deal of incentive to make sure we were accomplishing what we were set out to do and what his vision was. In that case, it was electric vehicle powertrain and new to the world battery technology. Now it's whatever the challenges are, whether they're self-driving or other alternative modes of transportation. So he's just feeling his oats these days, and I think that the concept of having the public scrutiny of the public markets has got to wear on him after a while, and he wants the freedom to soar.
So, Dave, on these special forces methods, help viewers understand the line, if there is a line, between that sort of get-it-done mentality and recklessness, which is what obviously his critics charge him with.
Well, I think that's in the eye of the beholder, and oftentimes it's pretty difficult to tell. I think back to the 1976 Winter Olympics and watching Franz Klammer run the downhill, where he was on the edge of sheer collapse and destruction at every gate. Elon runs his life a lot like that, but he also had a tremendous experience and ended up on the podium with a gold medal. I see that as the same kind of mentality here. So pundits can find anything that feels, particularly reckless. But in the end, I think it comes down to whether or not, you believe that the line's being crossed, but he probably doesn't.
You mentioned that, this idea of cutting through red tape and a disdain for bureaucracy. What's, I guess, kind of ironic about this tweet and everything we've seen thus far in the last week and a half is that it almost seems like that tweet, and specifically funding secured, now the reports that the SEC is probing the company, you've got these investor lawsuits, et cetera, that he's actually brought in more red tape and more bureaucracy to the company in recent days. How would you expect this to play out? And is there a scenario in which Elon Musk stops tweeting along the way?
That's an excellent question. I'm no expert in SEC or anything. I'm a technologist, but ultimately, I think he saw. We all see an example in this in the current administration that this is kind of maybe a new way of getting things done. I think he's tested the waters here. Whether or not he's crossed a line that's going to get him in trouble, I can't say anything to that. But what I can say is that. I think he's a pretty smart guy, and I don't think that he would continue to cause himself pain if it really was, not in his best interest.
You see, being a task-oriented leader would surely bring some pains to his companies and, of course, his employees. Since task-oriented emphasis on finishing the task before the given deadline, this probably lead to employees being demotivated. A lot of the times, the employees feel unappreciated by their painstaking hard work because they are not praised by their superiors, as they feel that it is their employer's duty to do so. However, one of the biggest problems faced by the companies will undoubtedly be employee burnouts. This has also been admitted in an interview with Vector CEO Jim Contrell, a former SpaceX employee.
Well, do you think that's why other people have left the company? That they might disagree with his strategy?
I think it's more a case of burnout. Honestly, I think to keep up with the man is really tough, and so a lot of people I know that have left. Some of my good friends were part of the founding team. Have left because they just got tired, right? And we only have so much energy. Elon seems to have more of that than all of us. And there's some people that disagree with him. There's some people that can't deal with his personality. And then there's most of them that are there absolutely love the man. They worship the ground he walks on. And he and his team and Gwen Shotwell and Gwen's an old friend. They have accomplished great things.
It is said that Elon worked his people for 10 to 12 hours a day. Certainly, it is not surprising as Elon himself is a workaholic that works 100 hours per week, even to go as far as sleeping in his office whenever he finds the need to. Well, for someone who works himself like hell, 10 to 12 hours per day may not be such a big deal for them. Yeah, right?
You just have to put in, 80 to 100 hour weeks every week. And then all those things improve the odds of success.
Okay.
I mean, if other people are putting in 40-hour work weeks and you're putting in 100-hour work weeks, then even if you're doing the same thing, you know that in 1 year you will achieve what they achieve. You will achieve in 4 months what it takes them a year to achieve.
Well, some people may say that working 80 to 100 hours a week is just far too much. But if you're going to do something that is deemed impossible, then you have to do the impossible. Others also may argue that being a task-oriented leader will probably tend to hinder creative or spontaneous employees, making the company harder to find innovative ideas. However, this is the great Elon Musk that we're talking about. He don't need those because he himself is worth thousands of people's ideas. I mean, we're talking about the guy that is seen as the next Albert Einstein.
You might be wondering, why did we choose Elon Musk? I mean, after hearing all of his stories and achievements, it wouldn't be surprising that we chose him. But there are a lot more successful people like Steve Jobs or Jeff Bezos that have achieved just as much. So, why him? Well, because he is the future. What excites and admires me the most is his grand plan to bring everything that he's doing together simultaneously. And unlike companies like Apple, who will eventually have an iPhone implanted in their brain, or Google that will literally be your brain, Elon is going for the colonization of an entire planet. Because think about it like this. SpaceX builds rockets to take us to Mars and establishes the Mars colonies. The Boring Company builds tunnels to connect them all. SolarCity powers everything with solar panels. Tesla makes the cars that run on the electricity. OpenAI uses the AI to keep law and order. And then when it's all ready, he's probably taking 50% of the population to Mars off the snap of his fingers. Boom! You now have a sustainable colony on an uninhabited planet. Genius!
In my opinion, for me, I've chose him because, he is very motivating, He uses his motivation, which is he wanted to change the world in a better way by making and producing so many bombastic products that benefits our own future, our own world, the planet Earth. His motivations also inspires him to not ever give up in life, not even once, and to do things, literally anything that he wanted to do. He is very determined to do things, even it is going to be absolutely hard. And people might also think that it is impossible to do so. And remember, bear in your mind, Elon Musk did not just do things just for money, but because from his own perspective, money can usually distract people from what really needs to be done. So all in all, I have watched this interview or his TED Talk and he tell the people who are attending to the talk that, come on people, try to step out of your comfort zone and don't be afraid of challenges. Yes, I absolutely agree with that saying, because challenges are an excellent opportunity for growth. Challenges might somehow make someone to move ahead, So, as the saying goes also by himself, don't be afraid of challenges and don't be afraid of new ideas, and always against the odds.
Elon Musk, a CEO of uniqueness and brilliance. Unlike other automotive giants, Elon's Tesla is using a different style which is distinct from the traditional way of advertising. So here's what Elon got to say about it.
Because we didn't do any advertising, or there was no guerrilla marketing or anything. It was just basically like, we're going to have this webcast. There were only about 1,000 people in the audience, and it really caught us by surprise. But I think, when you have a product that really resonates with customers, the word of mouth grows like wildfire.
And one more thing to mention.
So what makes Tesla special? And why haven't the marketers at Audi or Ford been able to replicate such a result? Even though Tesla don't invest into social campaigns, why do we still see Musk's face, the Tesla logo, or a SpaceX launch continuously plastered across our screens? This can be primarily pinned down to how Tesla's marketing team have well and truly figured out the free media promotion equation. If you give the media an interesting story to tell, they'll reward you with free publicity.
Elon, an influencer, is social media king, which he is mainly active on Twitter.
You tweet a lot.
I use my tweets to express myself. Some people use their hair. I use Twitter.
While most other CEOs can't even balance their work time and leisure time, Elon does it in a very elegant way. there, he shares a lot of interesting tweets, and sometimes he posts memes, which there are no any other CEOs would do as such. And one interesting thing to share, he was once charged with securities fraud for misleading tweets.
Let's go.
His war zone tweeting drew fire when out of the blue in August he tweeted, quote, "Am considering taking Tesla private at 420, funding secured." The SEC disputed that claim and charged him with securities fraud. The case was settled with Musk agreeing that his communications relating to the company, including Twitter, would be overseen by his board.
Choosing Elon Musk was a really simple thing. As we have stated in this presentation itself, that you know he is a genius. That idea cannot be distributed. As someone that holds intelligence highly, he is the living embodiment of what I want to be in the future. His intellect inspires people and me to work harder and even harder to make sure I reach what I want to reach. But it is not only that. He has that business mind, which is one of my goals to become in the future. He is an entrepreneur at the age of 12, and even after dropping from Stanford, he created businesses after businesses until today he has a lot of it. I am sure that I will become like him one day. He relates with me on a personal level, and that is why it was easy to choose him as a leader.
So for me, Elon, he never seems to settle for money. You know what? At the age of 28, he sold his first ever company, which is Zip2, for 307 million in cash. And I guess there is a lot of money, and that money could have been enough for few of Elon's generations. But somehow Elon chose to not retire early. And after a month, like a few months after that, Elon decided to start up a new business with PayPal. And I was like, wow, this is Elon Musk. And we can see from that how passionate he is. I mean, like, he is a genius, you know what? He's been reading books a lot. And yeah, all he always think is how to create a better future. That is Elon Musk, from the documentary that I've watched lah. So the second reason why is because Elon is the purest risk taker that I've ever seen. You know what? Tesla was on the verge of that. I mean, like, Tesla could die because they had no enough money to keep rolling. But Elon decided to reinvest in Tesla by using the last portion of his money from selling PayPal to eBay to invest in Tesla, or Tesla could die. And I was like, it was a do or die decision. But somehow Elon decided to use his last remaining money to reinvest in Tesla. That's the purest risk taker I've ever seen. That's why I admire Elon.
In conclusion, Elon Musk is a unique leader. In fact, nobody is like him in this world. He assumes so many risks to realize the ideas and innovations that he has, which have created massive and big companies like Tesla, SpaceX, and many more. Through these creations, he has motivated people like us to be somebody, to have a purpose and jump out of the box. Now let me ask you, what do you want to be? Or who do you want to be?
I want to be.
I want to be.
I want to be.
I want to be.
Well, I guess we all want to be like Elon Musk.